All right, so just a little review from what we've done so far. In the third chapter, it's called Karma Yoga. And these are the topics in the third chapter. So we've already done the first, second, third, and today we'll finish the fourth subsection. So first was Arjun's confusion, renunciation or action. Then 3.3 to 3.9, Nishkama Karma Yoga, better than Jnana for Arjuna. Then 10 to 13 to 16, from Karma Kand to Karma Yoga. And then from 17 to 35, Nishkama Karma Yoga to set the right example. And we'll be finishing this. The last section would be Beware of Lust. All right, so the section from 17 to 25, which we did last time, Nishkama Karma Yoga to set the right example, also will continue today. Principle of reciprocity, we understood this, how we are getting so many gifts, and there has to be acknowledgement from our side also, and reciprocation in giving back. Tasya karyam na vidyate, Krishna says, for that person there is no duty. If one is, or he's transcending the realm of duty, if one is self. So here the line is there, Atmani eva cha santushtas. Santushtas. If one is
self-satisfied,
Satisfied.
not seeking anything, so if he's satisfied within, then he's not seeking anything
from
In return.
externally. For such a person, there is no duty, Krishna said. And 3.17, Krishna used the word Atma 3 times, Atma Ratir, which means blank from within. With the first one, enjoys from within. Atma Triptas.
satisfies from within.
Satisfied is the last one, Santushtas. Triptas also similar word, but Prabhupada has translated it as illuminated from within. And Atma Santushtas is satisfied from within. Who can reach this stage? A Jnana Yogi who doesn't need anything material. Also Bhakti Yogi, which Prabhupada also tells and Krishna tells later. So 3.18, Naiva Tasya Kritenartho. That person has no motive to perform his duty, but at the same time, that person has no reason not to perform his duty. He's not dependent on anything, any living being, including other devatas. So this is not a Brahman, because Brahmana is a part of the society who does yagya and patan patan and parigraha, which is charity. Krishna is talking about a sannyasi or a renunciate. Perform your duty even if you think you are so self-satisfied that you don't need a kingdom, you don't need to live with your family, and you can just go to the forest and be satisfied there. 3.19, Krishna talks about how being detached, you perform your duty by acting with detachment. What will happen? You will attain the ultimate absolute truth. And we spoke about how frustration with material life is not sufficient qualification for spiritual life. There must be a positive attraction also. Then Krishna gave 2 examples. If Arjuna is thinking, being a Kshatriya, is it possible to attain perfection, doing your duties and not renouncing and just focusing on your spiritual life? Krishna said yes. There are 2 examples he gave, Janak Maharaj and then himself also. So first he gave the example of Janak Maharaj, then he gave a general principle, whatever action a great man performs, common men follow. Whatever standards are set by exemplary acts, all the world pursues. And then he gave his own example. For me, there is no prescribed duty within these 3 planetary systems, nor am I in want of anything, nor have I need to obtain anything, yet I'm engaged in prescribed duties. For if I fail to engage in carefully performing prescribed duties, O Partha, certainly all men would follow my path. And then we saw how Krishna sets the best example for dharma and prema also. And then the last verse in the last class, if I do not perform prescribed duties, all these worlds would be put to ruination. I would be the cause of creating unwanted population, and I would thereby destroy the peace of all living beings. And we saw a little video about how Krishna performs his duties in Dwarka. And we'll start with today's class with the 25th verse. This is also continuing how setting the right example by doing your prescribed duty is the right thing for you. And in this section, we'll see Karma Kandi and Karma Yogi, attached worker and detached worker. So here's the hierarchy. There is vikarma, action that is wrong according to the scriptures. Then there is karma kanda or sakama karma, where religious materialism for worldly enjoyment, performing prescribed Vedic rituals for fruitive results. Then there is atma gyan, going beyond that. Once a person understands I am the soul, he becomes detached naturally. Then aspiring for heavenly planets, still karma kandi will still do Vedic rituals because he wants something high. He wants to go and enjoy in the heavenly planets because he believes there is soul and the soul can be another after death, can go in another place and enjoy there also. Then, so these karmakandis, they aspire for heavenly planets. The Brahmavadis or Gyanis, they aspire for Brahmajyoti. And then Ashtanga yogis, they aspire for Paramatma realization, and Bhakti yogi aspires for Bhagwan realization. Okay, with that little background, let's start with the 25th verse.
Mataji, can you explain the previous slide again? Yeah.
This one? Okay, so
Yeah.
for a karma kandi, because that enjoying propensity is still there, he wants to follow the Vedic rituals, but he wants something in return. What does he want? He wants to go to the heavenly planets and enjoy there. Right? Now, people yes.
My question is, I mean, if they are at the knowledge of soul, but then why don't they have the right knowledge where to reach?
Right. So, see, although their knowledge is correct, it's not complete yet. They haven't reached to the point where they are totally frustrated with these enjoyments of the material world. They are still aspiring for enjoyment. That's why they know that I'm a soul. When the body dies, I have to leave this body. So, but I want to be in a place where I can enjoy more. So their knowledge is not incorrect, but it is incomplete. They're not aspiring for the best because they're still ignorant of what is the best, what is the perfection of life. They're still not, haven't reached to that stage of perfection or knowledge, perfection in knowledge. Yeah? Should we move forward or should we go on?
No. Actually, I wanted to ask this point only because the knowledge of soul means the soul has come from the spiritual world. So then why they are aspiring to go to material world only, even if it is heaven?
Because of attachment, because of the propensity to still enjoy, because there is attachment within the heart to still enjoy. And if we see the Devatas also, they are devotees of the Lord, but through their example, they're teaching how, and we're going to talk about that in this class more in detail, how the total faith in Krishna is not there. And because of that, their own attachments are pulling them towards enjoying on their own, right? Still, although they have the knowledge of the soul. See, knowledge of the soul, even Ravana had, even Hiranyakashipu had. Remember when his brother died and he was preaching to his own family? His own mother and sister-in-law and all those people. So it's not that he didn't have the knowledge of the soul. He did. That's why he was preaching. But still, that propensity to enjoy, that I am, the enjoyer, hadn't gone. So all these people
like in these Muslims too, I'm just cutting you, like in these Muslims, I don't know whether they have they have some knowledge of the soul, but their ultimate destination is only to Swarga, which they call Jannat. So they don't know there is beyond. anything beyond. So that is the ultimate reach of their existence. They cannot go beyond that.
Correct.
But these people, they are, I mean, like their Hindu scriptures, I mean, they have been existing from the time immemorial, these scriptures. So it is not, they have a partial. And any guru will bestow only half their knowledge to their disciples, or they just see how much they can take.
Yes, how much they can take according to time, place, and circumstance. So the mindset and according to the consciousness also of the jivas or that sect, depending on that much gyan is given. So if you, I mean, this is what I've heard from Chaitanya Charan Prabhu's class, that he was talking about how in that times there were, people who were thieves and doing all those things which were so low, degraded things, to give gyan to them which can transcend, it was impossible for them to understand. So for them the gyan was, don't enjoy with your own mother or your own sister. Imagine, that was the kind of, and don't steal, don't. So this was the kind of knowledge that was given, and beyond that, because the body is going to die, you can go and enjoy in the heavenly planets. Above that, what is there was, they didn't have the capacity to absorb.
Thank you.
And even in the Bible, I've heard that it is written that there is so much more, but you will not understand.
Okay.
Mataji,
Thank you.
sorry to interrupt you.
Oh.
No, I have done.
Mataji, that Ashtanga Yoga, can you go back to that previous slide?
Yes.
Yeah. As per for Paramatma relation and Bhagavan relation, what's the exact difference, Mataji?
So
Paramatma.
Ashtanga Yogi, they going through the mystic, they attain the mystic powers through that process, but they still want to keep going ahead, dhyana and then dharana and dhyan. They want to keep meditating on the Paramatma, but their goal is they want to achieve or go to another planet, whichever one they desire. Their goal is not going to Golok Vrindavan. So when they leave their body, they can decide when they want to leave their body and where they want to go, where the soul wants to go after they leave their body. So that is just the surface of, just how brilliantly Prabhupada has given example of the sun, how the rays are like the Brahma Jyoti, where people who are Brahmavadis and Gyanis, they want to go there in the light, right? Merge in the light. Ashtanga yogis, they want to go to a particular planet, whichever one they want to go to, and they can achieve that if they have perfected through that dhyana and jnana and then dhyana. And then dharana and dhyana. And then bhakti yogi aspires for Bhagwan realization, which is Krishna, and going back to Godhead, which is Golokunda.
Yeah, they just want to do, I mean, I heard that they want to go to different planets and do the same process what they are doing here, the dhyana on the Lord. And they get the vimanas also, their own vimanas to travel to different.
Correct.
अभी क्लास होती है हमारी आज ना 9:30 बजे शुरू होती है अभी मैं उठूंगी तो 2 क्लास में जाऊंगी अच्छा
Let's mute ourselves. Hare Krishna. Okay, so let me see. All right. We will keep going. 25th verse. We'll recite that. Saktaha karmani avidvamsho yatha kurvanti bharata kuryad vidvams tatha saktash chikirshur loka sangraham. Somebody can read the translation.
As the ignorant perform their duties with attachment to the results, the learned may similarly act, but without attachment, for the sake of leading people on the right path. Hare Krishna, thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, thank you. Okay. So this is text number 25, where we see Krishna has compared, he's given the difference between Karma Kandi and Karma Yogi. And he says the self-realized person or karma yogi, they work without attachment to the fruit of their work. And why? To set the right example and to lead people on the right path. So their desire is to please Krishna and satisfy Krishna. Whereas the ignorant person or the karma kandi, they work for attachment, with attachment to fruit or the results of work, and their desire is to satisfy their own senses. So basic difference, right? And we all know this. We all understand this. We'll keep going. So Krishna has used this word vidwan and avidvamsa. So avidvamsa is ignorant and attached, karmakandi, vidwan or asakta. And this avidwan is sakta, he's attached. And vidwan is asakta, he's detached, he's wise and detached, who's a karma yogi. So Krishna is saying, live in this world and set an example for others who are still attached. They need to see a role model and act accordingly. So here we see in this material realm, we can have a horizontal relationship with others, and we want to enjoy being in this world, that those are karma kandis. Or we can have a spiritual realm going upwards, which the brahmacharis and the sannyasis take. Even the grahasthas can be in this realm horizontally and vertically also. So this is a little graph so we can understand. For the grahasthas, it could be both. Bhaktivinoda Thakur was an exemplary grahastha with his relationships in this world, but focusing on his spiritual life also. So Srila Prabhupada's presentation of Krishna consciousness is bhakti is not a part of our life, bhakti is our life. If we want to perfect our life in spiritual life in bhakti, then we have to understand that it is not, okay, I've been given this body, I have to do all my duties, let me do all of that. And a part of it also I'll give to Krishna. Chant a little bit and do a little puja, that's also a part. But if we want to reach perfection in bhakti, then bhakti is not just a part of our life. Prabhupada says it is our life. Let's go to the next verse, 26th, and this is the link. 25th, 27, 28 describe the difference between attached worker and detached worker, or karma kandi and karma yogi. And 26th and 29th, Krishna describes how a detached worker deals with an attached worker. So let's look at the verse 26th. Na buddhi vedam janayed ajnanam karma sanginam joshayet sarva karmani vidvan yukta samacharan. Let's have somebody read the translation.
So as not to disrupt the minds of ignorant men attached to the fruitive results of prescribed duties, a learned person should not induce them to stop work. Rather, by working in the spirit of devotion, he should engage them in all sorts of activities for the gradual development of Krishna consciousness. Thank you.
Thank you, Mataji. So let's see. Na buddhi bhedam janayed. So people who are learned, they should not cause disruption of intelligence of those who are ajnani. Ajnanam karma sanginam. Of the foolish or the ignorant who are attached. Karma sanginam, they are attached to their karma, the result of their karma. And what should we do? Joshayet sarva karmani. We should engage them in dovetailing all their work. Vidwan yukta samachara. This is how the vidwan engages everyone in practicing whatever their inclinations are, whatever their modes, due to the modes, whatever nature they have acquired to act. Keep doing that, but engage that or dovetail that in Krishna's service. This is how a vidwan will deal with the avidwan or ajnani. That's what Krishna is saying. So act by showing how the results of all work can be dedicated in the service of Krishna. So not by renouncing. Krishna is comparing somebody who thinks that, okay, I'm ready to renounce, I'm detached, and will leave everything and become a Jnana Yogi. Krishna is here inspiring Arjuna not to do that, but to act. His action should be fighting. He's a Kshatriya and he should be focusing on fighting. And by doing that, you will be showing by your example that being in this world, we can act, but dedicated to Krishna's service. Prabhupada was excellent in this. He could engage. There was even a thief who came, he became a Krishna conscious devotee, right? But he was a thief before. So he came to Prabhupada and he said, Prabhupada, I'm not able to sleep at nights because I used to be awake in the night and doing all these robberies. And so Prabhupada said, okay, do one thing. You can sleep in the day, but at night, when I'm translating, all these dogs are barking and I'm trying to dictate in the dictaphone and all these barks are coming in the background. So you go out with a stick in your hand and you keep all these dogs away. And he did that. And later he became a president of an ISKCON temple. I don't know which one, but I heard a long time back. So, and people who were good in cooking, Prabhupada engaged them in cooking. People who were good in, kirtan and singing or painting or deity worship. That's how Prabhupada engaged them in Krishna's service. So don't disturb the ignorant. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says you should not disturb the minds of those who are attached by telling them to perform jnana. Rather, you should direct them to karma only. Prabhupada says, although the ultimate aim is to know Krishna, Vedas are meant to for gradual elevation. A realized soul in Krishna consciousness should not disturb others in their activities or understanding, but he should act by showing how the result of the work can be dedicated in the service of Krishna. Baldev Vidabhushan and Sridhar Swami, if he disturbs their intelligence, then they will lose faith in performing duties and also will not attain jnana. They will thus lose on both the fronts. So if a person is not yet detached and if he's pushed, okay, you're the soul, you're not this body, give up everything, like that. If a person is pushed, but he's still attached inside, then what will happen? He will neither be able to do his work, nor he will attain perfection in Jnana Yoga also. That's why Krishna is saying, don't push them who are still attached, but you keep doing your duty and engage them also in service of Krishna. So whatever they're doing, a little part, maybe people are working, but they're not yet ready to take up bhakti. So a little part of their salary or their profit, they can give in the temple. Like that, gradually, we can engage them. Vedeshcha sarver aham eva vedya. That is the end of all Vedic rituals, all performances of sacrifices, and everything that is put into the Vedas, including all directions for material activities, are meant for understanding Krishna, who is the ultimate goal of life, is coming from the purport of 326. So the Param Dharma, if somebody can read this.
The Param Dharma or the spiritual dharma of everyone to love God and serve God. It is the same for everyone, no matter what varna or ashram. But at the material level, how that person will be expressed will vary from person to person. When responsible people give up their actions, people in general will not understand that you are renouncing out of understanding of higher responsibility and compassion. They will think you are renouncing out of frustration and irresponsibility. It will disrupt their minds and they will act inappropriately. Therefore, set a good example for others and engage them according to their level to practice devotional service.
So at the material level, how that dharma will be expressed will vary from person to person. So each person's dharma, according to their circumstances in life, according to where they're situated, is different. Although Param Dharma is the same for everyone, but in this material world, the other dharma that we have to at the material level is different for everyone. And from where they are at their level, what they should be doing, they should be doing. They shouldn't renounce prematurely. by directing the general populace towards doing karma, a devotee should act by showing how the results of all work can be dedicated to the service of Krishna. Thus, by dovetailing their work, people will gradually become elevated. Ultimate purpose of all Vedic literature is to bring people to Krishna. So those who cannot come directly, they're gradually brought by dovetailing their material propensities for the service of Krishna. This is the same thing. Let's keep going. 7th verse. There's a link. Krishna talks about the vision of both person in knowledge who's Vidwan and the ignorant person who's a Vidwan work in a similar way, but how to distinguish between them. So Vidwan and Asatta versus a Vidwan and Satta. This is 27. Prakrite kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvasha ahankara vimudhatma kartaham iti manyate. Another verse which is really famous. We can try and memorize this also. Somebody can read the translation.
The spirit soul, bewildered by the influence of false ego, thinks himself the doer of activity that are in actuality carried out by the three modes of material nature. Bhagavad Gita 3.27.
Thank you, Prabhu. So, Prakriti Kriyamanani Gunai Karmani Sarvasha. All activities are in actuality, they are carried out by the three modes of material nature. Gunai Karmani Sarvasha. All of the activities done, they are done by the modes of material nature. And Ahamkara Vimudhatma, person who is bewildered by Ahankar with false ego, and who is Vimudhatma, who is ignorant or foolish. Kartaham iti manyate, thinks I am the doer. It's a brilliant verse. And also, while I was doing Aarti in the morning, I was listening to Guru Maharaj's lecture, and he was talking about this, how I'm the doer. And he was such a brilliant lecture. If you want, I can share with you. He was bringing a parallel between Vritrasura and Srila Prabhupada. And we'll come into about that. Let's look at the verse first. Let's understand it. Krishna is saying he is not the doer, or you are not the doer. And how do we understand this is given by this example of a woodcutter is given by Baldev Bhushan in Govinda Bhashya commentary. He says that, think about a woodcutter. He has that tool in his hand, right? The axe, and there's a tree also right there. And he wants to cut the tree. Now, is the axe the doer? Or is the person, woodcutter, the doer? Who is the doer? If he didn't have the axe, then he wouldn't be able to cut the tree. So over here, who is the doer? So now, to understand in this verse, that Krishna says, you are not the doer, it is the modes of material nature. Prakriti is the doer. So we have to understand that I am not the only doer. I am a doer. So who's the doer? Is the woodcutter, is the desirer. The axe is the tool or the Prakriti, and Krishna is the one who sanctions. So there are three doers here, right? Am I the doer? Or I am a doer? There's a difference, right? I am one of the doers of the three. Yes, Soumya Mataji.
Mataji, this is one of the battles that I've always faced when I try to convince people to turn into vegetarianism. Is that people always say that, well, we haven't cut the meat, but there is somebody who's done that, but ultimately it's your choice whether you would want to consume it or not. So people who are in that business, the butchery business, maybe due to of family or other things, they have to do it, so they don't maybe have a choice. But the people who are consuming it are equally, they do have a choice whether to consume it or not. So would you like relate this piece to that example, like we have a choice. We are humans. We have a choice whether what type of work we would want to do, and
Yeah, a
whether we
person
choose
has
the
a
good
yeah.
or yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I mean, I'm just saying that humans have a choice. We have a mind that is the gift of God. So we always have a choice to select the good or the bad. And that's why I feel like humans are the doer or should be responsible for that.
For sure, they are the
correct.
desirer. Because of their desire, then Prakriti also acts accordingly, and Krishna also sanctions if he thinks it's okay. But how are we desiring is because of the modes that we've acquired, right? It is because of and we'll come to that as also coming, our samskaras and our vasanas. So those are the reasons why a person selects to do certain or makes a choice according to those. But it can be changed for sure. If we have the right association, our choices will also change. So you're right. At all times, it is the person who's desiring, he's making the choice. It's not that somebody else has killed it. I can eat, I will not face any consequence. I will also, for sure, equal consequence. The person who's killing is killing for you to eat, then whatever sinful reactions he will face, you will also face exactly the same. He is doing it. For example, it is said in our Shastras, for every animal killed, however many hair are there on the animal's body, those many times the person will have to take birth and die again. So the person who's eating also has to face the same thing. However many hair are there, he also has to take birth and die. And a brutal death, just the way that poor animal was killed. We'll keep going. Soul has particular kind of desires, and the gamut of choices of desires are determined by material nature. The way we are inclined to act depends largely on the modes we have acquired. We just now spoke about that. So when the soul is disconnected with Krishna, material nature gives choices. There's choices in the mode of goodness or passion or ignorance. These are the three modes, right? And people make choices in these three modes. A person who's in the mode of goodness would want to get up in the morning early, would want to take care of the body, do some exercise, would want to eat fresh fruit, etc. People in the mode of passion, they're always running after material things, or in ignorance. Here you can see what you were talking about, Sonia ji. People selling and buying meat or intoxication, etc., in mode of ignorance. So, but these choices, if we are asked, can you make one of the choices from this material nature for a person who has realized that he's not this body, he's the soul, then any one of these choices, all right, we have to maintain our body, then goodness is okay. But that is not also the best choice, right? So here we can see, if a question is asked, student is answering a question, right? And the question is, what is the capital of India? And the choices are Washington, Lahore, and Moscow. What is the right one? None of them, right? So all those three are wrong choices for the soul, because the soul by nature is spiritual, and its natural action is to love Krishna and to serve Krishna. So Arjun's thought to renounce and go to the forest was not in harmony with his nature. And Krishna is pointing out that you should act according to your nature and dovetail your activities in the service of the Lord. So you act, right? You can renounce, but renounce mentally. Be detached mentally and still do your actions, do your duty as a fighter, as a Kshatriya, and you can offer the results to Krishna. And here is what I heard today. I quickly had to make this little slide in the morning when after I heard the lecture. So Guru Maharaj was talking about how, I've opened some notes also I've written, he was talking about faith. And he was talking about how Vritrasur also had a lot of faith in the weapon which was made to kill him, right? So he had faith in Krishna and his weapon, that it won't go in vain. Although Indra, on the other hand, was thinking that he's the doer, right? And when he threw his thunderbolt and the thunderbolt was, thrown back, he was shaken. because he was in the mentality of I am the doer. But Vritrasura was, again, he said, pick up that weapon that has been made to kill me. Because Vritrasura was totally, he had totally surrendered to Krishna and had the faith that, yes, this weapon, after I'm killed, I'll go back to Godhead only, right? So he had the faith in Krishna and the weapon. Prabhupada had full faith. He was also in a war. Prabhupada, when he went in the Jalduta came to the Western world, he was against this big fight against Maya. But Prabhupada had full faith in Krishna and the weapon of the holy name. So beautifully, Guru Maharaj was talking about these two, drawing parallel from these two pastimes, and how we also have to understand that I am not the doer, and that Krishna is the doer, Prakriti is the doer, yes, but ultimately Krishna sanctions. So he brought this whole discussion to a point where he was talking about we should have this consciousness of thinking I am not the doer. If I am able to preach nicely, to do deity worship nicely, to cook nicely, or do kirtan very nicely, or to, however many services, right? Or book distribution really nicely. If I'm able to do all of that, it is because of Krishna's mercy. I am not the doer. And having that mindset, if I am exalted or I'm glorified or not, and he was saying that to the degree we are becoming elevated in spiritual life, to that degree we shouldn't want to get glorified. We should be happy seeing others being glorified. In fact, we should want others to be glorified. And that is the difference between a neophyte devotee, that I want all the glorification, that I am the doer. So to the degree I'm attached to the glorification, to that degree my faith is not pure, he said. Beautiful, right? My faith is pure when I want others to be glorified. So I thought that was really nice, and I included that here, which goes so well with what we're trying to understand through these verses. So let's keep going. 28th verse. Tattvavitu mahabaho guna karma vibhagayoh gunai guneshu vartanta iti matvana sajjate. If somebody can read the translation. Right here on the screen.
One who is in absolute truth, almighty and does not engage himself in the senses and sense gratification, well knowing the differences between work and devotion and work for fruitive results. Hare Krishna.
So, Hare Krishna. 216 also, Krishna used the word Tattva Darshi, people who are seers of the truth. And here, or knower of the truth. Here, Tattvavit is used, one who is in knowledge of the absolute truth. Tu Mahabaho. So, O mighty armed Arjun, Guna Karma Vibhagayo. Know well that the difference between, what is the difference between work and work in devotion and work for fruitive results. You should know the difference. Guna Guneshu Vartanta. The senses are engaged in sense gratification. Iti matva nasajjate, thus thinking he never engages himself or becomes attached. He understands that it is the gunas which are working. The senses are engaged in sense gratification. These are the gunas which are working. That's why he never becomes attached. So we're not the body, we are spiritual beings trapped in the body. Our real interest lies in understanding this simple fact. Somebody can read this quickly. Anybody, just unmute.
This bodily machine has certain tendencies based on the way we have acted in the past. Although the soul is transcendental, when it is within a material body, it works according to material modes. One who is Tattvavit, he knows that if I don't get attached, then I will not be bound. Hare Krishna.
Okay.
I have a quick question. So,
Yes.
the people who work in for fruitive results includes both Vikarma people and the Karma Kandi? Does it include both of them?
No, Vikarma, they don't even understand, right? They don't even have that Vedic knowledge. Even if they have due to attachment that they quickly want to acquire something, they get into doing Vikarma. So that
Okay.
is completely different. Karma Kandi is what Krishna is talking about. He's not talking about Vikarmis. That's, another level down, whole level down. Here he's talking about Karma Kandis who are pious, right? They're doing the Vedic rituals they're wanting, but they don't understand that that is not the real thing. That is not the perfection. Yeah. And he's comparing them to those who are in Karma Yoga, those who are seers of the truth, they don't get attached. Yeah. Krishna is saying that based on those tendencies, one should act, recognizing that modes of nature are the doer. Don't let them take you outside the limits of dharma. Don't do vikarma. And at the same time, don't completely resist the modes also. So I have acquired certain nature. Let me work within that nature in this material world, within the pressings of dharma. Let me don't do vikarma and try and regulate. And by so doing, one moves forward step by step in spiritual life. 29th verse. Prakrite guna samudhaha sajante gunas karmasu tan akritsna vido mandan kritsna vin na vichalayet. Okay, somebody can read the translation.
Bewildered by the modes of material nature, the ignorant fully engage themselves in material activities and become attached. But the wise should not unsettle them, although these duties are inferior due to the performer's lack of knowledge. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. So, Prakriti Guna Sammudha, bewildered by the modes of material nature. Sajante Guna Karmasu, they become engaged in material activities. So, Krishna is talking about people who don't have this, who are not Tattvavit. Tan Akritsna Vido Mandan, those who are with this poor fund of knowledge or lazy to understand self-realization, Kritsna Vinna Vichalayet, one who is in factual knowledge should not try to agitate them or unsettle them. So, and why? Because by such disturbance, one disrupts people's gradual advancement. We've spoken about this earlier in today's class. If a person is still attached, he's not ready to give up. And if prematurely he gives up, then what happens? He becomes mithyachari. Krishna has spoken about that also earlier, because within there is attachment, but outwardly he's trying to show that he is detached. So this is an example of how a person, if there's some disease, has gone to the hospital, doctor talks about, there can be two kind of treatments. One is a fast treatment, which is really strict. You have to follow this diet. You should not be eating anything spicy or anything sugary or fatty, like all those things. You should be doing this vigorous exercise every day. And the patient might not be ready to take all of those. But he says, okay, this much I can do. Can I start with this? Okay, so the doctor says, okay, at least start with this. So that's a gradual treatment or a slow treatment. Similarly, the Vedic scriptures give two methods for spiritual advancement. Here, what Krishna is talking about, these two methods, one is gradual, which is karmakand, do your dharma, artha, kama, and then after many lifetimes, that soul will seek moksha. And there's a rapid advancement in spiritual life, which is if we follow our paradharma, which is bhakti yoga, or which gives prema. For most people, material pleasure is a necessity. Even for the devotees, it could be a necessity. How? Because in the sadhaka stage, we are still living in the material level of consciousness. Therefore, happiness becomes manifest to us through material means. And we may be attracted or not be attracted. There might be sumptuous prashadam and we are really attracted and we feel so devotional, but there might be only little khichdi and we're not so attracted and we're not so enthused. Or there can be kirtan playing in the temple, which is for us, it's not so melodious, so we're not so enthused, right? Or there could be deities who are so beautifully decorated and we're so enamored and we're so inspired seeing them. But we might feel, oh, today they're not really, decorated so nicely. How is the turban made? Or this or that. But a pure devotee, for one who's advanced, whatever prasad, whatever kirtan, etc., one has the same level of enthusiasm. But we shouldn't be, even if we are attached to all these material things, even in devotional life, all these arrangements is there, so we may be gradually be elevated to a stage where material does not matter at all. We should keep doing our devotional sadhana and services so that one day we become so advanced that nothing really matters and our enthusiasm never goes down, whatever happens. Somebody can read this quickly.
Krishna is saying, don't try to rush people to higher level of renunciation. They may not have the capacity to renounce yet and may not be ready for moksha. Krishna is saying, don't try to rush people to higher level of renunciation. They may not have the capacity to renounce yet and may not be ready for moksha. It's the same thing.
At the end of our life, Krishna will not see which ashram we were in. He will see how much ashray we had taken. Spiritual advancement is not determined by where we are situated, but how we are situated in our consciousness, one's conviction and one's commitment. Krishna is comparing Karma Yoga to Jnana Yoga over here. So don't go for Jnana Yoga, even if you think it is higher, and don't instruct others also to do it. They may not be capable. And if you do Karma Yoga, by acting in detachment, setting a good example, you will be contributing to the social order and thus you will become elevated. The link to the next verse, having described about Karma Yoga, Krishna will now mention that ultimately every activity needs to be done as an offering to him. And such Karma Yoga is actually Bhakti Yoga. If you see in the purports, there are places where Krishna is talking about Karma Yoga, but Prabhupada is translating it as devotional service. This is the reason, because every act that we do in Karma Yoga, if it is dedicated to Krishna Yoga, to Krishna, in the knowledge that he's the supreme, I'm just a servant, it becomes Bhakti. Karma Yoga becomes Bhakti Yoga. And this is the verse that we will try to memorize. Mai sarvani karmani sanyasyadhyatma chetasa nirashir nirmam bhutva yudhyasva vigata jwaraha. Therefore, Arjuna, surrendering all your works unto me, Mai sarvani karmani sanyasyadhyatma chetasa, with full knowledge of me, without desire for profit, nirashir nirmamo bhutva, so without profit and no claims to proprietorship, nirashir and nirmamo, yudhyasva vigata jwara, free from lethargy, you should fight.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
This, sorry Mataji to interrupt you. Earlier verse, no? That this can we relate to 259?
Huh?
Earlier verse. Earlier verse. Yeah.
229.
Can we relate?
329.
Can we relate? 259. Rasavarjam raropyasya parandrashthani vartate.
Yes, for sure, Prabhu.
Pisha vinivartante nirarasya dehina rasavarjam rasopyasya parandrashthani vartate. It's slowly, gradual upliftment.
Yes, gradually. Yes, so nice, Prabhu. Thank you for the link and thank you for thinking about that verse. That's brilliant. Thank you, Prabhu.
It is famous verse so that we can deal with the non-devotees.
Yes.
Thank you,
So
Mataji.
thank you, Prabhu. Prabhupada talks about the cashier may count millions of dollars for his employer, but he does not claim a cent for himself. Similarly, one has to realize that nothing in the world belongs to any individual person, but that everything belongs to the Supreme Lord. So here Krishna is talking about all these aspects. Free from lethargy, you should fight with no claim of ownership, without desire for profit, with full knowledge of me, surrendering all your work unto me. So full Bhakti Yoga verse, beautiful. Before one time he introduced himself in 261, and here he's again introducing himself as the purpose of all our acts. So each line of the verse talks about something which will take one upwards. And Krishna says you should fight, and how you should fight without being lethargic, which is give up mode of ignorance. Without desiring profit, without ownership, give up mode of passion. Then Adhyatma Chetasa, with full knowledge of the self by consciousness, give up the mode of goodness. And Mai Sarvani Karmani, surrendering all your work unto me with full knowledge of me, transcendental realm, which is going even beyond. I don't know why we have these red lines over here once again. Okay, anyway, let's keep going. So, okay, Jwara is also another meaning for Jwara. One meaning is lethargy. Krishna says, free from lethargy, you should fight, or laziness. Another meaning is fever. And our Guru Janas tell us, materially, people are so influenced by mode of passion that the fever of material aspirations leads to hyperactivity. They have a fever, right? Fever for fashion, fever for sports, fever for shopping, fever for watching movies, going to the restaurants, etc., etc. This is also a jwara. And I found this really nice video of, it's very small, of Socrates, who was a philosopher, right? And what did he think about all these material things once he was going to the market with his disciple? Let's see what he says. And this is, do we really need all the material things to be happy?
One day, Socrates was walking through the marketplace with a student. The market was filled with beautiful items and luxurious goods. The student admired all the things for sale and asked Socrates, "Don't you want any of these things?" Socrates smiled and said, "Look closely. You'll see how many things there are that I have no need for." The student was puzzled, but quickly realized the depth of Socrates' words. Moral of the story: true happiness comes not from possessing more, but from needing less. Quote, "He who is not contented with what he has would not be contented with what he would like to have."
So whatever we have, we should feel contented, keep doing our activity, don't be attached. So these are the things Krishna is gradually, putting in us through Arjuna. We can avoid this fever by not desiring for ourselves. I came with nothing and I'll go empty-handed. Let me work to please Krishna, and that is the only thing I'll be taking with me, my connection with Krishna. And practical application, one's ability to advance in spiritual life is directly connected with his faithful and non-envious acceptance of Krishna and his teachings. Even if one is not at the stage of devotion mentioned in 330, as long as he's sincerely faithful to the words of Krishna, he will ultimately qualify for pure devotional service. Firm faith gives surety of success, but one who has firm faith, even though unable to execute such orders, such a person is surely promoted to pure Krishna consciousness. Firm faith, even though unable to execute the injunctions, in the beginning of Krishna consciousness, one may not fully discharge the injunctions of the Lord. Still, he will surely be promoted to stage of Krishna consciousness. If one is not resentful of the principles and works sincerely without consideration of defeat and hopelessness. Let's keep going. Next verse, Krishna talks about faith and result of following my teachings. This is the 31st verse. Ye me matam idam nityam anutishtanti manavaha shraddhavanto anusayanto shraddhavanto na shuyanto muchante pi karma bhihi. Somebody can read the translation.
Those persons who execute their duties accordingly to my injunctions and who follow these teachings faithfully without envy become free from the bondage of fruitive actions.
So this is the result of following Krishna's instructions. Those persons, ye me matam idam nityam, those who sincerely follow my instructions, anutishtanti manava, as an eternal function, they are following my instruction. Shraddhavanto nasuyanto. So nasuyanto, which means without envy. You can see word by word translation also. Anasuyantaha, which means without envy. So without envy and with faith, with Shraddha, they are following my instructions. Muchyante tepi karmabhi. They become free from the bondage of all results of their work or their fruitive actions. So this is a beautiful example of the story of this Brahmin who was illiterate from South India, Ranganath Temple. You might all know about this wonderful pastime where he was, Prabhupada gives this in a lecture. So he says, this is quoting Prabhupada, I'm trying to read Bhagavad Gita, but I'm illiterate, since Brahman is talking. So my guru, and he's talking to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who's come to him and he's asking him, why are you crying? So my Guru Maharaj said that you must read 18 chapters daily. I have no knowledge. I cannot read. Still, Guru Maharaj said, so I'm just trying to carry out his order and opening the pages, and that's all. I do not know how to read it. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, so are you crying sometimes? I say, then, yes, I'm crying. How you're crying if you cannot read? And Brahman says, no, because when I take this Bhagavad Gita book, I see one picture that Krishna is so kind that he can accept the position of a servant, because Arjun was ordering, keep my chariot here, and Krishna was serving him. So Krishna is so kind. When I see this picture within my mind, I start crying. And Prabhupada says, Premanjana Churita Bhakti Vilochanena Santaha Sadaiva Hrida Yeshu Vilokayanti, from the Brahma Samhita is quoting. So this is the faith that, this Brahman has in Krishna, in the loving devotion of his Bhakta Arjun towards Krishna, and how Krishna is reciprocating with so much love. So that is the ultimate. According to Mahaprabhu, he had understood the sum and bonum of the Bhagavad Gita. He had the true knowledge, and not those who were perfectly reciting the Bhagavad Gita, sitting there, Brahmins sitting with perfect pronunciation. And next verse, result of disregarding my teachings. Read the verse 32nd. Yet Vedad Abhya Suyanto Nanutishtanti Me Matam Sarvagyana Vimudham Stan Vidhi Nashtan Achetasaha. But those who out of envy disregard those teachings and do not follow them regularly are to be considered bereft of all knowledge, befooled and ruined in their endeavors for perfection. So focus of learning in the purport, Prabhupada says, analogy of disobedience, as there is punishment for disobedience to the order of the Supreme Executive Head in a state or a country. Similarly, there is punishment for disobedience to the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. What is the ignorance and destiny of disobedient soul? He is ignorant of his own self and of the Supreme Brahman, Paramatma and Lord due to vacant heart. Therefore, the destiny is there's no hope for perfection. And the difference between the demoniac and the divine. Demoniac, they rebel against God's laws. They're selfishly concerned about one's own gratification. Everything I possess is earned by my own ability, skill and hard work. And the divine people, they obey God's laws, selfless service to God and his children. Whatever I possess is a gift of God, and I should be grateful. They obey God's laws. Okay, the same thing. Divine and the demoniac. Here we see for the divine, there is always a step forward if they keep following Krishna's instructions, but for the demoniac, they keep falling down. A person may be aware of the punishments of his sinful actions, but one may still perform them. Being so attached to the temporary enjoyment one may get from doing them. So this is because of the vasanas and the samskaras. Vasanas means due to previous life impressions, and samskara is the previous habits one has formed. So for example, a person who is addicted to cigarettes, he started sometime, right? Not everybody is born with this propensity to smoke, but due to doing again and again, he forms this habit and the impressions are formed. So that's why when he or she sees a cigarette pack, automatically, yes, I can smoke. But for the ones for whom these habits are not formed, it is not their natural, they will not naturally go and grab a cigarette whenever they see it. Or a person smoking, they will not feel like, okay, let me also smoke. This is because of samskaras and vasanas from before. Okay. And so 30th verse, Krishna spoke about what we should do, right? Working with a spirit of detachment, offering everything to me, free from possessiveness and proprietorship, with full knowledge and dependence on me, without lethargy. That was 30th verse. Mai sarvani karmani. 31st verse, result of following his injunctions. 32nd verse, result of not following his injunctions. 33rd verse, Krishna speaks about why at all people disregard my teachings despite knowing that they'll bring all success is because of the conditioned nature. So deep-rooted conditioned nature and working according to one's nature. Let's read the verse, 33rd. Sadrusham cheshtate swasyaha prakrite jnanavanapi prakrite myanti bhutani nigraha kim karishyati. And the translation is right there below, even a man, if somebody can read it.
Even a man of knowledge acts according to his own nature, for everyone follows the nature he has acquired from the three modes. What can repression accomplish?
So, sadrusham cheshtate swasyaha. One will act according to one's own prakriti, acquired nature. Jnanavanapi, the one, even if he has the knowledge, Jnanavanapi, even if he has the knowledge that by doing so, something, I will not get or I will be punished. Prakritim yanti bhutani, impelled by the modes of nature to act. Nigraha kim karishyati, to stop them or to repress. What is the point of doing that? So what can that accomplish? Krishna is saying. So people who are too much into doing sinful activities, for them, there is no way one can make them understand. This is what Krishna is trying to say. So the whole sadhana process for us is trying to give a positive engagement to the senses so that they may be diverted from negative engagement, which one will be engaged in, has been engaged in since time immemorial. For example, we took how the thief was engaged in Krishna's service, right? By Prabhupada. Okay, you keep the dogs away if you cannot sleep at night. Give me 1 second. So we can be engaged. Our propensities, even if they were not right, they can be engaged in Krishna service and gradually they'll become positive. How? By taking shelter of the association of devotees, sincerely endeavoring and offer sincere prayers. If somebody can read this.
The scriptural injunctions of Nishkama Karma Yoga can purify and enlighten an impure-hearted person. The scriptural injunctions of Jnana Yoga can enlighten a pure-hearted person and elevate him further. But only Bhakti Yoga can purify and elevate a person who is extremely impure. By causeless mercy of Krishna and the association of devotees who are saintly, can deliver even the most sinful people. Hare Krishna.
So the path of Karma Yoga, Nishkama Karma Yoga, cannot enlighten and purify a very impure person or a very sinful person. Same for Jnana Yoga. For Jnana Yoga, your qualification at least should be that you should be somewhat pure. Then you can be elevated. But for those who are totally impure and very sinful, only Bhakti Yoga can work. Who can think of examples of how a person was so impure and so sinful, but due to association of a very pure devotee, was, yes, Sanjana Mataji.
Jagai and Madai.
Jagai Madai. Who else?
Valmiki.
Valmiki. Who else?
Mrigari.
Mrigari. Yes. So what we're going to do is watch a small play. This is Jagai Madai. I thought we'll just bring in this little, we won't do any activity today. We'll do this, we'll watch this. Is from our temple last year, 2023. The girls in our temple, they performed this play on Jagai Madai. It's just 8 minutes, I think. But beautiful performance by all of them. Let's watch this. How a very sinful person or people, Jagai Madai, they were elevated and they were purified by the association of who? Nityananda Prabhu, who delivered them. Okay, let's watch.
Get ready for the holidays at Living Spaces, where you'll find the best deals for the entire home. Shop everything you need and get free shipping as soon as next day,
For
so
this
you can
ad.
start celebrating right away. Spread joy this
We
holiday
have
season with
two
a little
of
help
our
from Living
students
Spaces.
here.
Living Spaces.
Who are in this play?
It's Suicide Prevention Month. Be the friend who lights up hope.
Ariana and Madhavi Shiromani, they both are in here.
Oh Nityananda, oh Haridas, listen to what I have to say. Go to every home, in all directions. Whoever you meet, give them this message. Chant the names of Krishna, worship Krishna, speak about Krishna. Krishna is your mother, Krishna is your father, Krishna is the treasure of your life, Krishna is your life and soul. Do not consider who is fit and who is unfit. Go everywhere and repeat this message. And every night, report back to me what happens.
Take the names of Krishna, worship Krishna, speak about Krishna, be happy.
Oh, look, these are some drunkards.
We have delivered pious people, and that's good. But our Lord Gauranga, his fame, his mercy, should be spread throughout the whole world. Now, if anyone sees these people, they jump in the Ganga with their clothes on to purify themselves. But if we can transform these two, so that anyone who sees them thinks that they have just bathed in the holy waters of the Ganga, then our Lord Gauranga will be known throughout the whole world as Patita Pavita, and I will be accepted as his servant. Only when Jagai and Madai become intoxicated with Harinam Sankirtan and humble like blades of grass will I live up to my name Nityananda.
If your desire is to do this, then they're already delivered. Who can stop you?
I beg you, my dear brothers, please hear this message. Chant the names of Krishna, worship Krishna, hear and speak about Krishna. Krishna is your mother. Krishna is your father. Krishna is your real best friend. Krishna is the treasure of your life. He is your heart and soul. Do not waste this valuable human life.
Who do they think they are?
Oh no!
Catch them!
Their lives will end today. The
Catch
Magi will
them!
Kill us.
Kill them!
You are a madman. Why did you do that, and why did I have to listen to you?
Today, I'm gonna die. Today, we are both gonna die. How could you go up to those most sinful murderers and ask them to chant the names of Krishna? How could you do that? You are crazy. Nobody does that.
It is not me. It is your master, Lord Chaitanya. No one in the history of the world has given such order as he has, to go up to everyone and entice them to chant the holy names. Previously, you escaped from those executioners when you were getting beaten in 22 marketplaces. But now, you pray for us.
By Krishna's grace, I was saved by those beatings from those Malachas and Yavanas. But today, because of your craziness, I'm gonna be killed.
Come here! We want to talk to you!
Do you know who we are? Brothers Jagai and Madai, and they almost killed us.
Who are these Jagai and Madai?
Oh, the whole town of Navadvip is terrorized of them, and they were born into first-class Brahmin families. But they're so sinful and such rogues that there is no sin that they do not commit. Even their parents rejected them. They're murderers and thieves.
And they're running behind you to harm you? I'll take my tucker and destroy them today. No, my lord, no. You could not do that. My lord, just let them be under my care. Let them become your devotees. Give them the love of Krishna. If we give them the love of Krishna, I will take responsibility for them. You have not descended into this world to kill sinners, but with the weapon of the holy name, you have come to kill sinful desires in people's hearts and give them Krishna praying.
Very soon we will see Jagai and Madai dancing in our Sankirtan because Nityananda Prabhu has given his mercy to them. Come, let's go. I'm going out every day with Nityananda Prabhu and it is very difficult. He is so unpredictable. During the monsoons, when the Ganga is flooding over with such a fast current, he jumps in and chases after the crocodiles. He grabs their tail and jumps on them. I am at the bank and I call out, Nitai, Nitai, but he does not listen to me. He acts like a dead body and floats away. He goes to people's houses and milks their cows and drinks all the milk and runs away, and the owners come out and chastise me. He chases after young boys and their parents come and catch me. He goes to a young, beautiful girl and he asks her, will you marry me? And she gets scared and tells her father, but the father comes out to beat me. And today, he goes up to Jagai and Madai, those two monsters, and asks them to chant the names of Krishna. It is a miracle by Krishna's grace that we are alive today.
Why are you surprised, O Haridas? It is the nature of drunkards to want to associate with other drunkards. Nityananda Prabhu is always intoxicated with ecstatic love for Krishna. You'll see very soon. These Jagai and Madai will be dancing in our Sankirtan by the mercy of Nityananda Prabhu and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Now, let's join everyone else at Srivasa's Angan.
Master Lord Chaitanya.
Who are you?
My name is Avadut.
This is the man who wanted to tell us what to do?
I do not mind that you have hit me, but what pains me is to see your miserable condition in this material bondage. Please, just take the names of Krishna.
Stop! Don't you see this man is a saint? You tried to kill him, and he's forgiven you. All he wants is our well-being. Don't hit him again. Chakra! Chakra!
Please, my lord, please, please do not harm them. Give them your mercy. Give them the love of Krishna. If we are going to kill Jagai and Madai, then you might as well kill the entire human population in this age of Kali. Because everyone is more or less Jagai and Madai. And my lord, do you know, Jagai saved my life.
You saved my Nippon? Oh, I see your formed form, my lord. Oh, Narayan. Oh, Krishna.
Whatever he has done in life, I have done too. And whatever I have done in life, he has done. The ecstasy you have given him, you must give to me too. Please, please.
No, you have hurt Nityananda Prabhu. But he has protected him. Because you have hurt Nityananda Prabhu, fall at his feet. Then only, if he forgives you, you can get Krishna praying.
Parama Karuna Bahu Dvijana Nitai Gaura Chandra Parama Karuna Bahu Dvijana
That's the end. Like when Nityananda Prabhu said that you might as well kill everybody in this material world because more or less everybody is so simple, right?
Get ready for the holidays at Living Spaces, where you'll
1 second.
I don't know, open it.
All right, we'll go to the next verse, 34th. We'll just do 1 or 2 more verses. We'll finish the class then. The section will end there. So this is the 34th verse, right? Indriyasindriyastaryarthe agadvesho vivastito tayornavasham agachet dohyasya paripantino. There are principles to regulate attachment and aversion pertaining to the senses and their objects. One should not come under the control of such attachments and aversion because they are stumbling blocks on the path of self-realization. So, indriyastarthe, for the indriyas, there are artha, there are sense objects. Raga, dvesha, vivastito, there are principles of attachment, raga and dvesha, attachment and aversion. Tayorna vasham agachet, you should not come under the control of such raga and dvesha, tauhi asya paripantino, because they are stumbling blocks in the path of self-realization. So raga is bringing one's senses in control, contact with the sense objects that give pleasure to the senses, and dvesha is hatred toward those sense objects that disturb the senses and don't give pleasure to them. But ultimately, both are material. Therefore, go beyond them. There was a time when Prabhupada was in Mayapur, and some people, social reformers, they were starting a new organization, and they came to Prabhupada and they said, could you please come and, inaugurate our company? So Prabhupada asked generally, what is the company all about? And they said, our company will teach people how to be happy in this world, how to live happily in this world. And Prabhupada said, okay, I'll come. But then they were thinking he might start talking about how this material world is temporary and it's dukhalya, better just leave. And Prabhupada said, yes, this is what you're thinking is correct. He could understand what they were thinking. And they said, it's okay, Prabhupada. We'll call you next time. So Prabhupada said, if you think, how do you think people can be happy in this world? I'll give you an example. Example Prabhupada gave was so brilliant. He said, if you put agarbatti in a bathroom, will that bathroom become a place to stay nicely? Can you live there? Can you be in the bathroom forever? And they said, no, Prabhupada, yes, you're right. But they actually didn't want Prabhupada to, because the company was teaching how to be happy in this world. And this is the basic principle of Bhakti Yoga. How we can understand this place is not a place of happiness and transcend. Because even Raga, Dvesha, Krishna is talking about over here, go beyond attachments and aversions. Both of them, even attachments, even aversions, are material only. So therefore, go beyond them. And the last verse for today, the fifth one. Shreyan swadharmo vigunaha paradharmatsa swanushtitat swadharme nidhanan shreya paradharmo bhayavaha. It is far better to discharge one's prescribed duties even though faultily than another's duties perfectly. Destruction in the course of performing one's own duty is better than engaging in another's duties, for to follow another's path is dangerous. And all this is for Arjuna only. You're thinking you can leave the battlefield, become a beggar, even if you think you can become a perfect beggar. Remember, he said, I can go in the forest and I can beg, but I don't want to kill my relatives. So even if you think you can become a perfect Jnana yogi, or you can become a perfect beggar, still you should not. Destruction in the course of your own duty, which is being a Kshatriya, to fight, it is not suggested. So it is better to do your own duty, because engaging in somebody else's duty is dangerous on the path of self-realization. So practical application is the following three angles may help one understand why one should one should rather perform one's own duty, although imperfectly, than another's, although he can do it perfectly. Because accepting another's duty promotes whimsicality and thus ultimately creates havoc. It creates the option of rejecting his own duty if it proves uncomfortable, and thus invites a fall to the platform of accepting and rejecting in terms of sense gratification. Because our mind can tell us, oh, this is very, very unacceptable for me, or very uncomfortable. Let me give this up and do this other thing. Even in devotional practice, if our Gurujanas have given us the service of deity worship, and we think we are very good cooks, let me give that up and go do cooking. Even if we think we can do it perfectly, it is not right to give up the duties given to us, because that is what is going to take us higher, or elevate us, or purify us, because it's been given by our authorities. Accepting another's duty causes social disruption. The prescribed duties are given not only for personal purification, but also to have a stable society of different integrated paths. If somebody can take this over. If one decides
to change his activities, those who depend on him for certain needs may be let down. Accepting another's duty is not as easy as one thinks. One's conditioned tendencies run deeper than he realizes. Giving up one's natural work is very difficult. Engaging in unnatural work promotes dissatisfaction, and thus the risk of fall down to immorality escalates.
Thank you, Mataji. So this is clear, right? So far. Prabhupada says in the purport, spiritual duties as ordered by spiritual master for the transcendental service of Krishna, which what we just spoke about. Everyone has to cleanse his heart by gradual process, not abruptly. When one transcends the modes and is fully in Krishna consciousness, he can perform anything and everything under the direction of a bona fide spiritual master. The Kshatriya may act as a Brahmana, or a Brahmana may act as a Kshatriya. And the examples are Parshuram and Vishwamitra, both acted differently to their varnas. When material or whether material or spiritual, one should stick to his prescribed duties even up to death, rather than imitate another's prescribed duties. Principle of following the authorized direction is always good for the performer. And here's a story which we will not get into, but we all know the story of Ekalavya, right? He was himself from a lower class. He wasn't a Kshatriya. He was from a tribe. And why did Dronacharya not make him his disciple and ask him to cut his thumb? Because he had practiced without accepting him as a guru, without Dronacharya accepting him as a disciple. Eklavya still learned from him, from the effigy that he made. Also he could hear from far distant hiding. He could hear his teachings, and he learned the art of, archery like that. But Dronacharya didn't want him to learn, and this was the reason. Because to do another's duty, to act as a Kshatriya when you're not a Kshatriya, it could have degraded him. He could have used that art in sinful activities or wrong activities. That was the reason. So, couple questions or reflections we can take before we end today's class. Sorry, we didn't have time for activity because we had to finish this section today.
Mataji,
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
So Mataji, I think this Eklavya story, I think there was another angle to it also. Just because that